Okay, I'm going to show y'all how to use the headlight restoration kit. It's a 3M kit that I buy. I get it at AutoZone. It's like $22. I have a car lot, so I do a lot of these. These are not that bad. This is kind of what they started out looking like right here. This is what they look like pretty much when I'm done. I mean, so there's a big difference. Makes a big difference when trying to sell vehicles. The tape I put on there to keep from, because when you're using these sanding pads, you can scratch your paint up. If you can take your headlights out, that's the way to do it. These have bolts underneath the bumper cover. I've taken them off before, just depends. I've actually loosened this one up where it'll pull out, where I can do the edges here without messing up my paint on my bumper. If you mess up paint on your bumper, that's a lot more expensive than headlight restoration, so don't do that. I open the hood so I don't have to tape it up. I throw blankets and stuff up there, or towels, just to keep mainly the compound from slinging all over. As you can see, when it does get on stuff, it makes a hell of a mess, and it can take you an hour to get all that stuff off. It kind of defeats its purpose here. So, tape doesn't come in the kit. Some of the kits have tape. The kit I buy is a little cheaper. It doesn't come with the tape in it. And I'm going to show you step by step kind of what I do. First thing I do is tape it up. And I put several layers of tape here. One layer, this will chew right through one layer. I put about 3 layers on there, and then the next step is to sand. The kit that I buy several of them, of course. This kit here, this headlight restoration system. Some of them have the actual protectant wax in it. That's one you need to buy. I buy the wax called Plastics. I buy it in a big bottle, so I don't buy that kit. I just buy the one with the rubbing compound in it. It comes with a 500 grit paper, 800 grit paper, and it comes with a 3000 grit Trizact pad, one, and then it comes with a buffing pad that you use the compound with. Then you clean it all off and wax it with the plastics if it comes with the little deal. That's the way you really ought to buy it. The kit you should buy should have the protectant. Without the protectant, this is not going to last but a couple of months. You want this to last for several months. I use an air drill, but you can use, a Makita electric drill, whatever you have at the house. I have an air tank, so I use the air drill, the pneumatic drill. All right. Okay, step one is the 500 grit. And you can do headlights that are a lot worse than these. These are really not that bad. They look pretty bad, but they're not. Start with the 500 grit. I'll kind of show you what I do. Kind of run it slow. You're going to sand all this off. Now, if you have headlights that have a line through them, where the clear coat's kind of gone on the top and still some on the bottom, you have to completely sand it down. You have to sand it further than you think you need to. Sand all that stuff all the way off. This one isn't having that problem. These are just dull. If there was a clear coat line here, you'd have to sand a little more, sand it all the way off. You'll have to change this pad. You'll go through about 2 or 3 of these 500 grit pads per headlight. If you have really bad headlights, you may have to buy more than one kit. Okay. So basically, I'm going to sand this all the way down with 500 grit, and I'll show that to you. Then I'm going to do it with the 800, and I'll show you that too. Okay, something I wanted to say is during the 500 grit process, if you run your drill too fast, which if you have electric drill or a battery operated drill, you probably won't have that problem. With this air drill, it runs really fast. It can heat up. It's going to build up on your pad here. Can you see the build up on this? It'll build up on your pad, it'll mess up your pad, so what I do is I take a little brush, clean them off, instead of keep changing out my pads, and that knocks that off. Sometimes it doesn't really work on here, you have to kind of sand it off. You have to run your drill slow to get all this. Can you see this build up on here? It gets a little, it's almost like melted stuff, clear coat or whatever. Some of them do it bad, some of them don't do it at all. This one's doing it pretty bad, but to get rid of it, you just run it real slow. Sand it on off. Hold this flat. You don't want to hold it up on its edge. You want to hold it flat. It's kind of got a pad underneath it. Makes it pretty easy to do, but you got to sand or scrape all these little deals off. As you can see, I've sanded it all down with 500 grit. Got all the dead clear coat off of it. Do it till it's smooth. Make sure you don't leave no buildup. clear coat that you've melted. Okay, good. Okay, something that's real important between each step, when you go from 500 to 800 to the 3000 grit, you have to clean it off real good. You may not have a blower, but I do. You want to use a towel or something to get all that sand, that 500 grit sand off. If you don't, you'll never get this right, okay? You'll stay hazy. You'll just be dragging around 500 grit sand and scratching it again. So I blow it off real good. All that crap off, put the 800 grit on, and then I sand, and you have to sand all these 500 grit scratches down real good with 800 grit. If you don't get them all gone, you'll never get them gone. With the 3000 grit, you're not going to get rid of 500 grit scratches. So this is a very important step. A lot of people shortcut this step. It's hard to tell by looking at it. You just have to pick you a section of the headlight and do it, sand it real good, and work your way across. Make sure you don't chintz on the 800 button. You got to be careful. You only get 2 of these pads per headlight. The 500 grits you get 3 or 4, and you don't want to use these up and not have enough to do with both headlights. Again, you want to run it pretty slow. Hold it flat. Don't press. Just nice and light. Keep it moving. If you stay in one place, it's going to get hot and want to melt. So you just keep it moving like this. Always sand it more than you think you need to. See how I'm wiping that, and I can still see the deep 500 grit scratches? It needs to be sanded more. I usually sand about half of it with one of these. I sand it down and sand the rest of it with the second one. Like I said, this is an important step. Don't shortcut this step. Cut. Okay, so we've sanded it real good with the 800 grit. I blew it off real good. Make sure you clean it all off, because if you get 800 grit, 500 grit sandpaper on here, it's going to keep this from working right. The next step, you're using I think it's a 3000 grit called Trizac pad. It's all made by 3M. You got to use water with this step here. You're basically polishing when it comes to 3000 grit. You can't hardly see 3000 grit scratches. I wet this real good. Keep that wet. Keep it wet the whole time. You're basically going to be buffing. You only get one of these pads, so be careful. If you have a Ford truck that has the little nipples here, you got to be real careful not to hit those nipples, because it'll tear this pad and then you won't be able to finish. Most of the time when it comes to the Ford trucks, I just buy headlights, cheap ones off of eBay. When it comes to these cars, you absolutely don't want to buy the cheap headlights off of eBay, because I've bought them before and they shake going down the road, they turn real quick, they fade real quick. You absolutely are better off keeping your factory headlights and polishing them than you are buying that crap off of eBay. You can buy those headlights pretty cheap, 75, 85, 65, something like that. This will cost you probably 30 bucks to do, but this is a better way of doing it. Okay, so the next step is 3000 grit, get it wet. You're basically going to polish it out. Now, you can see the difference of where I've polished and where I hadn't. And of course, I'm going to do a little better than that. When you get done, a lot of people get done with this part and they think, oh, that looks good enough, and they stop. You don't want to stop there. You want to finish it up. It makes it look really nice. And I'll show you the next 2 steps. I prefer the pneumatic drill on these last 2 steps. The high speed helps. Take the scratches down, especially when you come to the buffing and the compound. But on the Trizac, the wet shine here helps a lot. Keep spraying it, keep it wet. Keep spraying this off, keep it clean and wet. It's going to make a little bit of a mess, so do it in your driveway or whatever. We also have a hand kit. This is not a video for that one. You won't ever see me using that one. That's too much work. They do have a same style kit that you can use with your hand. You're not going to get these kind of results. Really, to get these results, you got to have a pneumatic drill. Take it somewhere, have it done professionally, whatever. Normally, something like this, I would charge about $35 per headlight. The kit costs about $20. So there's not a lot of profit in it, but I mainly do it for my own vehicles because it makes them look a lot better. Okay, the next step is going to be the compound, the buffing. I usually go ahead and wet this pad. I don't spray it all over there, but I get this nice and wet. Just cut the corner of this off. Just a pretty good little bead right across the middle here. Then before you start running your drill, because it's just going to sling all your compound off, I kind of just take it and where I'm going to be working, kind of mash it around, and then I start buffing. You want to hold it flat, try not to get up on the edge. We're going to buff it real good. And the next step would be the plastics, which is a plastic wax and protectant that we'll put on. But before I would do that, I'm going to wash the car, pressure wash real good, use your water hose, whatever, but get all the compound and everything off, wash your car, and then come back with your protectant. And we'll show that step. But right now, the next step is to just buff it real good, get all the scratches. If you start buffing, you realize you still got some deep scratches, you need to go back with your 3000 grit or your 800 grit. I don't have any, but that's what's going to happen. You're going to get to this stage and realize you didn't sand out your 800 grit or your 500 grit scratches, and you're going to have to step back. So that's why it's real important to do each step thoroughly. So let me finish buffing this and then we'll finish. Okay, what I like to do before I do basically it's a wax protectant that you put on there that makes this last. If this is all we did, this wouldn't last 2 months, okay? The plastic stuff, I don't like to put on until I get all this cleaned off. I like to spray it off real good, dry it off. We add the protectant. Let me show you what I use here. This here's what I use. It's from Auto Beauty Products. Of course, you don't need to see it. Back up some. The stuff that the kit you're going to buy is going to come with the protectant. The 3M stuff works better than this. I just buy it in bulk because I do hundreds of these. You have to do the protectant. That's probably one of the most important parts. It actually fills in a lot of the final scratches and gets rid of the haze. Makes it look good. I recommend you doing it every month or two, reapplying it. They do have bigger bottles of this stuff. 3M sells all this stuff individually. If you want to buy bigger quantities of it, I just buy it by the kit. Again, I'll show you how I apply this stuff. Normally I put it on, let it dry, and I come back and buff it off with a microfiber towel. And that usually lasts 6 months to a year if nobody reapplies the protectant on that. Okay, so the final step was I used the sponge here, rubbed on the plastics wax protectant. I don't let it dry very long, a few minutes. Again, if you buy the right kit, it's a little bit more expensive, but it has the protectant with it. Don't do it without it. You're wasting your time. Once it dries, you just come back with a soft microfiber towel like this, wipe it off, and your headlights look brand new. As you could, this one still got the wax on it. Makes them look new, makes the whole car look, I don't know, 5 years younger. I do it on every car that I sell that has faded headlights. It takes about an hour per headlight. Don't rush it. Don't try to use one kit to do 2 cars. It's going to take 1 kit per car if you do it right. You're just going to end up with 4 headlights that don't look too good. So go ahead, buy the kit. I think it's $29 retail. Has the protectant in it, has all the stuff. You can use your electric drill or your battery operated drills. I prefer pneumatic. Again, try not to make a big mess. It's worth doing. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thanks.